Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on September 2nd, 2021 at approximately 1:21 p.m. PST. Well, I mentioned I was going to talk to you today about getting started on picking up a project or a hobby or a goal or something that you had put aside for whatever reason. But now is the time to get started on it. You may have looked at a hobby or looked at a goal you had, and because you ran into a roadblock, because you ran into a major setback, you couldn't figure out how to get around. Maybe it was everybody told you couldn't make money at it, or it wasn't worth the effort. Whatever it was, something stopped you. Okay. And now you've gotten to a point that you're looking at it going, but I really would like to get it done. It was a goal I had. It was a project that I desired to complete. And now it's time for me to complete it. So here's what you do. First things first, get an idea in your head. Okay. Take a look at what the project is. Now, in my case, I've already done it, but I'll show you how I did it. How I got the project restarted. And because it happens to be the field that I work in, it's easiest to do it this way. Okay, to use it as an example. Take a look at whatever the goal was. Where's my pen? Okay. Have a pen handy, pen or a pencil, your call. Even a computer works, but I can't show you on a computer that well. And have a sheet of paper. Figure out what the goal was. Okay. Now, in my case, I've got literally, and I'm going to walk you through this little part of the project. Okay. You figure out what your goal was. Now, I'm going to do it in terms of a storyline, simply because that's what I'm working on. Now, in my case, I've got this great big project that happens to span 12 volumes. Okay, now this is a major undertaking compared to some, but the principle is the same. Take whatever the goal was and break it down into smaller parts. Now, in my case, where it came to the Yldrbac Chronicles, okay, I know it's going to take a lot of work, so I worked out the overall storyline, and then went, okay, how do I break that down? And I broke it down into four sections, which I determined, because of the length, is going to be 4 trilogies back to back. Now, The Birth of the Wolfpack, the one I'm working on right now, this funny little one here, okay, this is technically the 10th book, but it is the first book in the final trilogy. So take a look at the overall project, figure out how big it really is. Doesn't matter how big it is. Okay, now, when I'm talking about the Yldrbac Chronicles, I'm talking about a storyline that is likely going to take me, reasonably speaking, 10 years to finish. Now, bear in mind, I'm already 58, so I gotta stay on top of it now. But in order to get it done, because I figured out, what you do is you figure out what the overall project is. Doesn't matter what it is. Okay, doesn't matter to me what it is. Now, that said, if you like the video, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, okay, and, that way you can get the rest of the videos coming out. But remember to hit the alert button to let you know when the next one comes out. And absolutely, please share it with everybody, okay? You'd be amazed. Sometimes you share something with a stranger, and it makes one heck of an impact in their life. Okay, now I return to pass on one message, and that is that working together, we can make this a better world for most people. Now, here's the thing. Okay, where it comes to the books, admittedly, quite seriously, every one of the characters that is in these books, when you're doing something, and do something you enjoy first. Now, I'm talking in terms of writing for one reason. It happens to be the easiest project for me to lay out. But I'm going to walk through that, and then we're going to get back and do the other side of it. Okay, we'll see how today goes, and I'll figure it out. Anyway, okay, I took the storyline, and if you're only writing one book, take a look at that one book, and you still have to look at the same issue. Give yourself a reasonable amount. Now, I figured it out, okay, because of the fact I've got to go back through The Birth of the Wolfpack, because I've got to go back through it, okay, it's a 400-page, roughly, book. But in order to get and to go through it and build the compendium, which is the big project I'm talking about right now, okay, I figured out if I can go through 4 pages of that book per day, okay, at 400 pages, I'm looking at roughly 100 days. Now, I'm talking about daily. Now, let us not forget that funny little thing about when we're looking at a work week. The average work month of people is 22 days. Okay, well, if you think 22 days, roughly 100 days, I'm looking at, roughly speaking, 4.5 months to get that finished, to pull the compendium together from book 10. Now, this is going to be the same process that I'm going to have to do for the other 12 books. Well, for the other 11 books. Okay, now, with that in mind, okay, it's going to take me four pages per day. At the same time I'm doing that, I'm doing the final proofing of The End of an Epoch, which is the sequel to The Birth of a Wolfpack. And I figured out, in order to get it out by the end of the year, I'm going to have to write 15. I'm going to have to proof 15 pages a day, or 15 pages a week. Okay, at 15 pages a week, it's going to take roughly 3 to 3.5 months to get finished proofing. Now, with that in mind, I've already set it up. So as soon as the proofing is finished, it can go to print right then. Okay. In addition to that, I'm looking at writing 3 pages a day in book 12, which is the Return to Paradise. That's the final book in the trilogy. It also happens to be the final book in the entire series. But here's the challenge I have. Okay, and the challenge I had was this: when you get to the end of book 12, how do you get people to go back and read the first 3 trilogies? Well, I figured out how to do that. Literally, and I can't tell you right offhand. Actually, I could, but it would be first draft. Let's just see if I can call them here, but I need my eyeballs to be able to see. Okay, this is what's called, if you will, a trade secret. Sort of. It's really not much of a secret. Where is book 12? There's book 12. So if we go to book 12, and we go all the way to the end of book 12, now this is a first draft. Okay. Jeremiah being the primary character. Okay, he is the primary protagonist in the series. Okay, and he is asked, how old is he really? So what he tells people, quite literally, and this is right at the end of the book. Okay, where did he put it? Just scanning through here. Yldrbac. Yeah, a little bit of dead silence, but I should have thought about this beforehand, but I didn't. Okay, well, with that in mind, okay, since I can't find what I'm looking for, I was going to give you an actual quote, but right in the book, okay, here we go, right at the end of book 12, at the end of the last book of the series, it literally tells you, Casey, who is from Casey's Bar and Grill, you'll find out about that in The Birth of the Wolfpack. But Casey is the owner. And as Jeremiah puts it, Casey has the original scrolls that were titled Yldrbac. These are all bound in the first 8 books of our history. I encourage you to peruse them whilst you can. Well, peruse them whilst you can. In other words, now that is right. Now that might get changed. The actual wording of it could well be changed. This is first draft. Okay, but right at the end of book 12, it tells you go back if you want to know the real history of the world. Go back and read book 1, which of course will come out after book 12 does. Okay, but this is a major project that I'm working on. So what you do is figure out how long the project is. Now, here's a couple of other little things you can look at. Okay, that's how I'm working on that particular setup. If you've got let's say you've got a story that you've started writing, and for whatever reason you stopped, you may well have got the manuscript written. Okay, and then stopped, like I did with Mr. Dreamcatcher, with Mr. Dreamcatcher Returns. Now, Mr. Dreamcatcher was a story that I wrote a while ago. It's a children's book about, you guessed it, a dreamcatcher. Now, that one is, where the heck is it? Right there. See, now this one is already obviously in print. It's a children's book. There's not much to it. Okay, illustrated. It's written and illustrated by me. But the sequel, which was Mr. Dreamcatcher Returns, I got it written. It's all ready to go. And all you do is take a look at it. Now, if you've already written your story, okay, and you've just stopped, read the first part of it. Like, read whatever you've got. If you finished writing it, great. Read it front to back. Refamiliarize yourself with it. But, now you can read it through. You got 2 ways to do it. One, you read it all the way through and then go back and look at it. And that is the way I would recommend. Don't look for mistakes. Don't look for things that you could have done better. Read through the thing and lay it out. Get an idea and then go back through and make any changes you feel are necessary. Watching for obvious issues like punctuation and what have you. Now, that's if you've got a book that's stalled. Okay, if you've written the whole thing, you'll get to the end of it. Take it. Now, I will tell you, if you try and what I was told when I started looking to go and get my books published, I was told if you take your manuscript and you send it to 100 different companies, if you get even a reply from 3 of them, you've done really well. Okay, if you luck out and get somebody to actually take that book, then you're in good shape. Then you're off and running. But here's the thing. If you go into the self-publishing route, yes, it's a little more work, but it gets the book into print. You can get it copyrighted. You can get the whole 9 yards. In all fairness, at least in Canada, once you've written it, especially if you've got all the doc files and all the paperwork from before, it's copywritten already. I do recommend going through the process to actually get the paperwork. Okay, but do not make the mistake of letting somebody tell you you can't do it. Okay, now take a look at painting. Okay, I've looked at some of the paintings that are out there, and it's like it looks, in my opinion now, I'm no art critic, other than for myself, but, well, I guess technically I am, but I've seen artists that it literally looks like they walked along carrying a bucket of paint and tripped and threw it against the wall. Put a frame around it and went, that's art. And they sell this stuff. Well, I'll tell you, the way they sell it is proper marketing. Who was it? Barnum Bailey used to say that from the circus, from way back in I think it was the 1800s, had this saying, there's a sucker born every minute, which really boils down to what you may consider garbage, somebody else may consider beautiful. I mean, personally, I look at Picasso's writing and go, was the guy high or what? Okay. I look at what is it, Pollock's. Now, I'm trying to remember what the guy's name is. He's another artist anyway. He paints pictures that look like they've melted. But they're very easy to identify. Now, personally, I wouldn't hang them on the wall. But they are well done, in my opinion. Okay, now here's the thing. If you've got a project, do not take somebody else's, do not take only one person's word that you cannot make it go of it. Now, whatever you do, the big thing you got to remember when you're looking at an old project, Do not give up your day job. Okay, work around your day job. Whatever you're doing to generate a current income, stay with it. But once you get this project up and running, you can look at the project as the final goal. That's what you want to be doing. But don't go quitting your current income until you get a replacement income. Okay, so you take a look at, if you're painting, start simple. Okay, I will tell you this. If you're looking at becoming an artist, now I'm no artist, and I just don't have the drive to sit down and get really good at it. Okay, or to take the time for it. I can copy what I see. Okay, and maybe one day I'll get around to that. But when you've got a project, if you're trying to become a painter, okay, a painter or just a simple pencil artist, rest assured that came out the wrong way. It's not simple. But if you're trying to get back into the artwork, take it one step at a time. Okay, practice on what you're looking at. Wait until you're comfortable with it. Then turn around and show people you know. That will only give you a little bit of feedback. But whatever you do, if people are saying, "Oh, that's garbage," and you like what you're doing, think about it. About 10 years ago, somebody made a cartoon. They made a cartoon that got sold to the major networks, and it was stick men. Now, if somebody can market stick men to a major network, I'm sure you as an artist, whatever your level is, can make a go of it. Okay, so, I mean, again, it boils down to take a look at whatever the project is that's been on hold, whatever the goal was. I had a client years ago, and I mentioned this to you in a previous recording. I had a client that really desired to become a doctor. Now, she was 52 when she got to me. And like I told her, you desire to become a doctor, go after it. Do not let anybody tell you can't. Okay, now, the only thing I warned her was, by the time you become a doctor, you're not going to have a lot of time left to be a fully active doctor, because retirement age is recommended at 65. Well, I worked with her from age 52 until age 60, okay, where she got her MD. The only time you're too old to do something is when you're dead. Now, there is an exception there. If you desired to get something done by the time you were 25 and you're now 30, guess what? You're not getting it done by the time you're 25, but that does not mean you can't get up and do it. Okay, I personally, at 50, went out and taught myself to skateboard in spite of having a bad leg. Okay, now I did not get to the point of doing tricks and what have you, but what I did do is I started off with that skateboard, and I says, I want to learn how to skateboard. So I started in my living room, just simply standing on the skateboard, getting my balance on the skateboard, and then I learned to walk it a little. You know, step on the one side and move it forward and walk it across, one step at a time, much like you do when you're walking. But it was a case of laying it out. This is what I've got to do. It took me about 3 months to get comfortable riding around just in a circle. Like I said, I never got to the trick part, but bear in mind, I've got a bad knee. I'm on a cane. Okay, so I reached a point where I went, no, the strain on my leg is way too much. I proved to myself I can do it. And that's the whole key behind any project. Make sure you're doing it for you. Okay, the Yldrbac Chronicles, I'm going to write the whole story. I will have it completed. One way or another, I will finish it. Okay, but I'm doing it because it's a goal I set out for me. Now, if I can turn around and sell it and make some money off of it, that is fantastic. But I'm doing it for me. When I went and did the skateboard, all I did was I desire to prove to myself that, that I can do it. Well, I proved to myself I could, and then decided I don't need to. It's way too much stress for me. Any project that has been sitting still. Now, here's the other thing. Okay. Where it comes to running a business, to starting a business, if you've been thinking on that side, and you put it off because you just didn't know where to begin and nobody was giving you any ideas. First rule of thumb. Okay, there is only one difference between you and any business owner. And even when you look at the multimillionaire bonus and business owners, there's only one difference. They got started. They didn't quit. Okay, this doesn't mean that they were perfect. Okay, but that's the only difference. They got started on and they kept pushing. Now, the trick with a business, if you're looking at opening a business, ask yourself one question. The question you have to ask, or that you're wise to ask, is how big do I desire this to go? Okay. Now, when I took my entrepreneurial course back in 1986, took bartending in 1986, took an entrepreneurial course in 1996. And when I took that course, because of the fact I'm a gamer, okay, I play Dungeons and Dragons, and I figured, well, okay, I'm going to look at opening a gaming store, and I've got to find a way to make it unique. Well, without going into the details of what I did to make it unique, I laid it out, and I laid the whole thing out from this tiny little shop, okay, all the way to a major corporation. Now, I repeated the process in building a healing center, as far as the planning goes. The healing center is still on the books. It's still something I may well do. Gaming center, I may do. I haven't decided yet. But what I did was I went, okay, how big do I desire it to go? Now, here's the thing. A successful business is what you call success. Some people will call running a household effectively, having all the bills paid, having the house running smoothly, that's an effective, successful home. Some people say running a grocery store or a food truck, that's success to them. Okay, you're the only one that can determine what size success is. Okay, where it came to the hobby shop, one of my classmates asked me, he goes, curiosity, he says, when you get this thing open, how many people do you think you're going to employ? And I never even thought about it. I looked at the guy and I says 100,000. He goes, 100,000 people to run a hobby shop? I says, yeah. He goes, we're talking small business. I says, no, you're talking small business. I'm talking self-employment. Okay, now I've always had this little thing about when I've got a little bit of success, I'm quite willing to give the directions to somebody else. And if they make it bigger than I did, so be it. I'm content with where I'm standing. Well, in all fairness, I'm really not. That's why I'm still pushing. Okay. Oh, did I have it here? Where the heck did I put it? I don't know. Oh, I hung it up. Okay. Now, I'm one of these really weird people. At least I think it's weird. I take a look at things and I go, when I get successful, on my way, I will help whoever I can, which is why I said, if you've got specific questions, okay, or just general ones, absolutely drop me a line in the comments below if you'd like it to be a little bit more private. Then reach out to me on any one of the contact numbers and the contact points below this video and ask. I will do my best to answer. Okay. Now, once you know how big it's going to be, then break it down. What do I have to do to get what is required? Well, I will tell you, if you're looking at a business, if you're looking at writing, it doesn't matter what it is, you have to look at the cost. Okay, now cost is not always money. In my case, if you look at it, if I'm writing I've got 7 pages a day, I'm going to be going through, between proofing and editing, I'm going to be going through 7 pages a day plus 15 extra a week. So really, I'm looking at going through 10 pages a day. Okay, bear in mind, you look at your timing on an issue of 22 days out of the week. Okay, which really boils down to just about 100 hours per month, almost. Okay, that you're looking at working on this whole that you've got available. Now, don't forget about the rest of it, you've got the rest of your life that has to be dealt with. Now, if you think about that, if all of your spare time, and we talked about having only 6 hours of a day for personal use, right? If you take half of that and 3 hours a day for of your personal use, then dedicate it to that project, okay, you can get it done. As Gene Simmons put it, when Gene Simmons literally said on Gene Simmons' Family Jewels, it was a weekly series on a number of years back. And as he put it, for those of you that are creative, there's a rumor that says creativity is 90% inspiration, 10% perspiration. And he leans into the camera and he goes, I'm telling you, you're dead wrong. Success through the creative field is 10% inspiration and 90% perspiration. Okay, it's a great idea to go, I desire to do this, but it's going to take work. Okay, which is why I get up in the morning and I'm in the office virtually as soon as I get up. The same will happen on your end if you get really focused on the goal that you've got. Okay, and that's where that list comes in. You mark your list down, and you'll notice on this thing, I've got some of them that are checked off. Yeah, you can see them. Some are checked off. These are the ones I've already done. There's a bunch of others that I haven't completed. Okay, this batch here is some of the health food stuff I've come across in order to put my own health back together. I don't do one project at a time. I thought about it, didn't work out that well. So I'm working on way too many. Okay, but it's working for me. Now, that said, I've got a filing cabinet over there to keep my writing files sorted around, not to mention the ones I've got on the computer. When you have a project, the first thing to do is you look at it and go, do I desire to do that? And first of all, that's a project I put on hold. Do I desire to get it done? Okay, number one, do I desire to get it done? Number two, why did I stop working on it? It may have been life got in the way. It may have been somebody that was so-called professional, told you weren't capable of it. Well, I'll tell you, the only person that knows whether you're capable of something is you, and more often than not, you won't know that until you give it a shot. Now, I will carry this particular topic on tomorrow, okay, because like I said, I do desire to keep these down to the half-hour mark, okay, but I'm gonna take you through this issue of getting your life moving in the right direction. I think tomorrow we're gonna just carry on, so we'll just make a note of that. So tomorrow we're going to carry on, and we may end up duplicating some of the stuff, but I'm going to do my best to lay it out simply so that tomorrow we can show you why, how to break it down. For those of you, we're going to pick a topic, and if you leave me a note down below of a project that you're working on, okay, then I will start getting a list of how to break those projects down. The first two I know of right off the bat is I'm going to go tomorrow, I'm going to focus literally on just the writing, on just the people that are striving to get something written. The one after that will be on how to decide on a career, on a business to go into, and what to do, what steps are necessary to make that happen. Now, the funny part about that is I got this other little booklet I already wrote. Okay, Believe in Your Business and Follow Your Dreams. It's the second one of a series of 12 I'm working on. Okay, but the reason being I've used those techniques on a lot of other people. Okay, that have helped them get their feet up and running. Now, on that note, I'm going to call it a day. I will be back to talk to you tomorrow. But until then, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.